welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been laying low on my YouTube channel for a variety of reasons, but I won't jibber jabber too long about all my personal stuff going on. But I have a lot of good things going on, I guess, hence the delay in getting this episode done. But I wanted to do a part two on Elisa Bridges because there was a bunch of information that I skipped. I didn't even see when I was doing my research for my first video on Elisa Bridges. So sorry about that. But if you want to just maybe scroll on to the first video I did, kind of get you up to speed on what went down with her life and some of the things that I forgot to mention because I didn't even see this when I was doing my research on the first time around. So this one is going to be a little bit longer. Hopefully I don't go off too into the deep oblivion of nothing, but this one's going to be a little bit longer, so I just suggest you sit down, maybe have a drink, a snack, and listen to what's going to be coming out of my mouth. It's all an opinion, by the way, but I'll just get right into it. So when I was Googling Elisa Bridges one day, just out of random, I discovered some information like how I always usually do. And there's a website called muckrock.com, which is muckrock.com. So somebody on this website was asking about Elisa Bridges and kind of the way I've been, in my opinion, speculating about Elisa Bridges, I think. So somebody named Anne from 0403 2019 wrote on muckrock.com, and I don't know much about this muckrock. Anyways, I'll read what Anne wrote. To the subject says California Public Records Act request untitled. She wrote, "To whom it may concern, pursuant to the California Public Records Act, I hereby request the following records. Number one, all files pertaining to the 2002 death of Elisa Rebecca Bridges at location at the address stated. I believe the case number is then case number stated, including but not limited to police reports, interviews, and or statements, toxicology reports, scene photos, autopsy photos, any evidence currently held. Two, all files pertaining to any police inquiries or investigations relating to the following address where Miss Bridges was found deceased at the location address stated. Three, any files or information on recording regarding Mr. Edward Nam, friend and owner of residence where deceased was found, including but not limited to violations, arrest records, criminal charges, restraining orders, warrants. Four, any police files held in regard to Elisa Bridges, including but not limited to any violations, warrants, arrests, restraining orders placed on others. The requested documents will be made available to the general public, and this request is not being made for commercial purposes. In the event that there are fees, I would be grateful if you would inform me on the total charges in advance of fulfilling my request. I would prefer the request filled electronically by email attachment if available, or CD-ROM if not. Thank you in advance for your anticipated cooperation in this matter. I look forward to receiving your response on this request within 10 calendar days as the statute requires. Sincerely, Ann P. So then, from Los Angeles Police Department, replied 11/22/2019, which is a few months later. So they said the city of Los Angeles. By the way, in my opinion, this is all public stuff that I'm reading. I would like to think, just on a side note, that wasn't available. But anyways, Los Angeles Police Department replied. They said, "Hi there, record request number has been closed. The closure reason supplied was, dear requester, we reviewed your request on November 6, 2019 for all files pertaining to the 2000 death of Elisa Rebecca Bridges at location stated. Your request was made under the California Public Records Act, the department, blah, blah, blah. I'll just get right to it. It recognized the statutory shimmy was enacted to maximize citizen access to the working of government. The act does not mandate disclosure of all documents within the government's possession. Rather, by specific exemption and reference to other statutes, the Act recognizes that there are boundaries where the public's right to access must be balanced against such weighty considerations as the right of privacy. So, they also said the law exempts from disclosures that are privileged and confidential. So, under the California Government Code sections 6254B, 6254C, and 6254F, 6254K, and 6255. Now, I took the time and liberation to look up what the California Government Code section 6254B means, and that would mean California Government Code Section 624B means accept records pertaining to pretending legislations or claims to which a public agency is a party from public disclosure until the matter is fully resolved or settled. This exemption under the California Public Records Act, CPRA, allows agencies to protect information during legal proceedings, but once the legislation or claim is concluded, the records then become subject to public inspection. So then I also took the time to Google as well the California Government Code 6254C and what that means. And that means personnel, medical, or similar files from public disclosure under the California Records Act if their disclosure would constitute an unwanted invasion of personal privacy. This exemption balances the public's right to information about government activities with individuals' a fundamental right to privacy, which are, on a side note, which I think are interesting government codes that they used to file her death under. So maybe, perhaps, in my opinion, I think maybe there could be possibly the potential of an investigation currently maybe going on. That could be a good possibility because this is what I'm reading. It sounds like, but we cannot be for certain. But in these cases, sometimes they just do not tell you, I think, in my opinion. So then the other California code, which was a 6254F, I looked that up, and that allows law enforcement agencies to withhold investigatory or security files to protect ongoing investigations, witness safety, or successful prosecution, but also mandates disclose of specific incident details like names of non-confidential witnesses and the location of an incident. The exemption is an the exemption is not absolute and requires agencies to disclose factual information while allowing eradication of details that could compromise an investigation. So these are very interesting uh, laws that they decided to put her death under, because on muckrock.com somebody was inquiring about it. So this is what the city of Los Angeles said back to them. So with that, the laws I just read is basically what they said back to them. So then on on the same website on Muckrock on 9/04/2020, so a year or so later, City of Los Angeles says, "Hi there, record request, the number has been published and is now available for public view." Which, on a side note, I tried to look this all up for public view, I couldn't find it. So again, that's weird. And it even says on the side left of the website, the status of this has been rejected. So I'm not too sure if it got rejected or is still rejected on this Muckrock. Maybe somebody could fill me in on what this Muckrock page website is. So this is one pertain of information I found that I missed on my first video, which you can see is quite a big piece of information I didn't even find at the time. I think one day when I got bored, I was going, "Hey, let's see what Elisa Bridges is up to." And then I typed in Elisa Bridges death or something like that, and then I seen this and I got intrigued, and so I read more about it. And on a side note, the laws I just read, don't you find it a little weird that those are the laws they decided to, I guess, in my opinion, maybe make it more hard for people? And maybe, perhaps, in my opinion, I think maybe it's also, on a side note, maybe it could possibly be an ongoing investigation. perhaps, in my opinion. It's not official until somebody says it's official. So I thought that was also weird. So also when I was googling Elisa Bridges at the same time, and I found this out, I want to say I ran into ancestry.com, or let me get the website that I found this information, myheritage.com. So on myheritage.com, it basically says Alyssa Rebecca Itzler. So that's a little bit different from Bridges. So she had it from, it says spouse. Alyssa married Mr. Itzler, Silk Itzler. But his name, if you actually Google Silk Itzler, Sylkitzer. It pops up as Jason Itzler. And I will read you his Wikipedia. And I guess this is who she was married to, which I find on a side note, if this is true, that she was married to him. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit strange that when you Google Alyssa Bridges, usually models have, like, on those websites that says who dated who, or and if she was married to him, this is a really big chunk of information. So, anyways, Jason Itzler was, I guess, her husband at some point, and I will read you a little bit on his Wikipedia. Jason LaBelle Itzler, also known as Mr. Beast, is an American live streamer, felon, and former ringleader of the prostitution ring New York Confidential. He has been in prison multiple times for drug crimes, prostitution, and money laundering. Itzler has been previously charged with aggravated assault with a weapon and burglary, and stalking in Florida. So that's a bit interesting. So I'll read a little bit more. It says this is from Wikipedia: Early life and education. Jason LaBelle Itzler was born as Jason LaBelle Silk and is the only son of, okay, blah blah blah. Following his parents' divorce, Itzler moved to New York with his mother. While growing up, Jason was influenced by his grandfather, Nathan LaBelle. Okay, so I'm going to get to some more of the meat of his life here. It says business ventures, prostitution ring, and criminal records. So, as we both know, that Alyssa Bridges, on a side note, which has nothing to pertain with Jason Itzler, by the way, from what I'm going to say, just so I can make that clear, but she did have from the autopsy report, she did die of multiple drugs, which were upper and downers, and in my opinion, some of that I think just doesn't make sense. But anyways, I will get back to his business ventures and prostitution ring and criminal record, which is so weird. I always think that this was not appearing to be any information with them together online. So you really would have to dig for this, but yes. Business ventures, prostitution ring, and criminal record. While in law school, he started a phone sex operation called M2 Communications Inc., where he would charge $4.98 a minute, soon becoming a young millionaire. The company averaged $1,500,000 a month. Due to his mother's untimely death from cancer in 1994, he abandoned his business and was eventually forced to declare bankruptcy in 1997, which I think Alyssa was a playmate right after. She was in 96, so this happened in 97, which has nothing to pertain with one another, in my opinion, I think. So, anyway, his next company was called Soho Models, one of his first companies to supply webcam pornography. Well, he ran out and rented 8,000 square foot loft on the corner of Canal and Broadway in New York City. So he was doing a multiple things. I'd like to think that Alyssa is a beautiful model, and he somehow maybe seen her, and maybe, I don't know. I think, in my opinion, and I just think this, that maybe he took advantage of her in some kind of way, but that has nothing to do with him or her. That's just my own opinion, I think. So, anyways, in 2001, Itzler was arrested at New York Liberty International Airport for trying to smuggle ecstasy into the United States. After serving 7 months in jail for the drug case, he was released on parole in 2003, which I do believe Alyssa died in 2003. That's just my opinion on a side note. It has nothing to refrain from doing this. This is just a side opinion. After which he stated, after which he started an escort named. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm nervous here. It says, okay, so after which he started an escort service named New York Confidential to meet the condition of his parole that he maintained legitimate employment. This guy, on a side note, just sounds like a crook. Um, here's a chance for him to do something that's a legitimate employment anyway. Itzler was fraudulently listed as a paralegal in the office of his attorney, Paul Berggren. Which, by the way, this whole video from A to Z is just my opinion, and just what I think. New York Confidential was run out of Itzler's Art Deco apartment in Hoboken, New Jersey. The company was doing well, and the office was moved to a 5,000 square feet loft at 79th Worth Street in Manhattan. In 2004, Itzler was averaging a gross of $55,000 a night. That's because we are the best at NY Confidential. I told my girls that the pressure is on them because we have to provide the clients with the greatest single experience ever. A Kodak moment to treasure for the rest of their lives. Spreading happiness, positive energy, and love, that's what being the best means to me. Call me a dreamer, but that's New York Confidential credo. This guy sounds like a monkey that needs to go back to its banana tree. Am I right? Holy fook. Anyway, I'm also gonna read what's left of this. It was the attention to detail and customer satisfaction that made the group successful, attracting a wide array of clients. Hmm. Wonder if that Neum guy is one of them. Just an opinion. Um. Anyway, including senators and famous athletes. When asked about the repercussions faced as a result of his ventures with New York Confidential, Jason stated, "The problem with New York Confidential was it didn't go far enough. There was even talks of franchising confidentials in other cities such as Las Vegas. See, he knew to go to Las Vegas because it would be more legal there. Anyway, in my opinion. In 2005, authorities arrested Itzler, who pleaded guilty to money laundering and promoting prostitution in 2006 and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. In March 2005, Itzler was transferred to the Tombs to Bellevue Psychiatric Hospital. In an interview while in the psychiatric ward, Itzler said, "If I'm found innocent, I plan to go back into business opening up an escort agencies all over the country, but it'll be based in Costa Rica to play it a little safe." I wonder how that's going now. Yeah, so in 2007, a transsexual Rikers Island inmate known as Angeline Jolie sent him to the hospital and this just writes itself, don't it? She walked up to me and said, "If you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to break your face." Even though she has a P, she looks like a woman. I'll never hit a woman in my life. Itzler was taken to the Elmhurst Hospital, blah blah blah, in Queens, where he had a CAT scan and found blah blah blah, whatever. Alright, so 2010, Itzler shared an apartment in Flamingo Towers in Miami, Florida, with Hungarian photographer Zoltan Present, then Prep Zent. Itzler had previously faced several charges in Florida, including stalking, burglary, and aggravated assault with a weapon. This apartment was subject to controversy when former University of Wisconsin lacrosse student Julia Schumann died in Miami in March of 2010. As a result of an interview with Etzler while he was in a Manhattan jail where he faced other unrelated charges, Etzler claimed to have also taken GHB himself the night that Shelmet had visited their apartment. In my opinion, how convenient, I think. So, anyways, additionally, Shoma's body was only discovered after she had visited an apartment of a different photographer later that night. After a detective identified himself in a call related to the investigations of Shomer's death, Itzler immediately hung up. A police report on for the incident had said. So on March, or no, pardon me, on May 4th, pardon me, on May 14th, 2012, Itzler was sentenced to 4 years in prison for prostitution, money laundering, and drug charges after an investigation the previous summer found evidence that he sold cocaine and provided a prostitute and provided a prostitute to a Manhattan customer. Itzler began an online stream show under the name Mr. Beast. In July 2024, YouTuber Alec Naval published a video of Shummert's death titled When a Live Streamer Confesses to a Murder that included secretly recording interviews with Itzler. On August 24th, 2024, Itzler physically assaulted Naval in an incident near his apartment in the East Village neighborhood of Manhattan. Naval reportedly bleeding following the attack with severe lacration to his head, promoting social media attention, reportedly going viral on X. So, personal life. Itzler is Jewish and has been engaged 9 times. He has dated prostitutes he had employed, including the number one escort, Natalie McLean, known as Natalia. Natalia made as much as 2,000 per hour with a 2-hour minimum working as an escort at New York Confidential. Asked if the work affected her relationship with Itzler, Natalia says he would sometimes get jealous of the time she spent away from him, but not of the men. It would only bother him if she slept with another man for free. In 2010, Natalie pleaded guilty to a charge of attempted money laundering in connection to New York Confidential. Itzler had Hanan and Super Lucky tattooed on his arm since the early 1990s. Itzler is a advocate for blah 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 and sun gazing. Oh yeah, by the way, he does this sun gazing like for, I think in my opinion, for bullshit, just because he's desperate for views. I think I looked this up. Apparently, he goes out in the sun and just looks at it for 5 hours straight. Like, oh come on, this guy is so stupid. Like, I'm sorry, that's just an opinion of mine, and that's what I think of him. Like, oh yeah, like who the fuck goes and spends like 5, 6, whatever hours of the day just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna look at the sun. Like, you even look at this guy on Wikipedia, he looks like, in my opinion, a sour loser and pretty much sounds like one. So this is who Elisa Bridges was married to, but that's kind of weird when I was looking this up on one of the ancestry type of websites that kind of give you a background on all over. It didn't mention, I mean, on his Wikipedia, pardon me, it didn't mention that he was married to her, which apparently it says that they were married, and and where I did find the information that she was married to him, it didn't say what year they got married or what year they got divorced. But just on a side note, I always think to myself, even before I found out all this information, in my opinion, I always thought to myself, I think, like, where would Alyssa Bridges have the access to get all these multiple drugs? And why would she be at Edward Neum's house if she didn't need to be, unless maybe, in my opinion, I think maybe someone sent her there, if you get what I'm saying? So I just think this is a little bit odd that Jason Itzler wasn't more public information and more public access of Jason Itzler with Alyssa Bridges, which I just found to be very strange and just very odd at the same time. And when I looked this guy up, I just thought maybe it'd just be like a high school flame or something like that. Like maybe just perhaps just like a nobody. Like she just maybe found a random guy to hang out with and get married, but I don't know what kind of relationship they had, and I don't know what really led her to date a guy like this. But Itzler sun gazing. I'm just looking at his photo on Wikipedia. He looks really weird. That's just what I think. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but nobody stares at the sun for 5 hours. Yes, I go. Who? I don't. I wouldn't. Like, I have better shit to do than go. Oh, the sun. He's so fucking. This looks like my morning hangover. I'm just playing. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this because this was something that this information I did not find out the first time around when I was looking up Alyssa Bridges for my first episode. So, anyways, I have other great Playboy mysteries coming up that I think that you would like and think that, or are more than great entertainment value. But let me tell you something, these are just like any other episodes I decide to pick for my page. In my opinion, the next couple episodes won't be, your everyday topics. Are pretty much subjects like these ones. They're not really talked about, if not at all. So I'm really looking forward to diving into some of the other mysteries I've done, and I'm gonna air them soon every Saturday, I hope. So tune in next Saturday. I'm really excited to talk about the other ones. Again, there are other pieces of information on Playboy models and Playmates, and just people that you would never think, none of this was ever public access or information, or sometimes it's just purely speculation on stuff I find, but they're topics that I'd like to think that were never even talked about, or no one really on YouTube took the time to really, you know, research it. But anyways, I just wanted to say before I end this video that this whole video from A to Z, anybody that I mentioned pertaining in this video, is all just an opinion that I think of. And I'm not saying Jason Itzler or Elisa Bridges or any of the law things have anything to do with Jason at all. This is just purely my own opinion on this whole fiasco and how that Alyssa was married to Jason Itzler. If this information is to be correct, that I was just saying on a whole. Well, my whole point being is that it's not public information that they were even married. So I just found it odd that they were. So, anyways, I have some great mystery videos coming up. I cannot wait for you guys to get a hold of these ones, because every time I look up stuff, I'm just going, well, this just, in my opinion, just seems obvious to me. So I'm very excited for the next batch of episodes. Just when I thought I'd stop doing them, this happens every time. Just when I think I'm gonna stop doing these mystery episodes, I'll end up stumbling on another model, or some other piece of information will come up, and I'll go, well, this is going to be really good content for you guys. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to doing my next one. And my next video, just to give you a sneak peek into the next subject I'm doing, it will be a Marilyn Monroe type of subject. I found some really interesting information, again, that was not public information or public knowledge at all. And I'd like to think that maybe some of these clues might perhaps add up on one of her family members, ironically. So I will be diving into that one the next episode. So thank you for tuning in. Can't wait to do another one. And besides the movie Killcast, if you're still listening, I plan on filming a new movie called Darlene. So I don't know too much about it, but it's in the process, and I'm very stoked to do something that involves a little bit more of me this time. Because if you watch Killcast, as you know, I'm only in it for like a minute or two, but I'm very excited to do this new Darlene project. It's a killer doll type mystery movie, so please stay tuned. I will have more information on that and jibber jabber about it and really give more details. Perhaps I'll say that for a rabbit ear segment soon. But again, can't wait to do my Marilyn Monroe family member topic for my next video. It's a very much a mystery that I hope you guys like. And thanks again, and I hope you're having a great day, night, morning, wherever you are. And tune in again next time. And feel free to subscribe to my channel or even leave me a lovely comment. Also, don't forget to go to justafrenzy.com for my future rants and raves or whatever the fuck I talk about. So, thanks again, everybody. Have a great one.